What's up, you guys? Welcome back into iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast, the Battleground Podcast. And this week is a special episode for us because, well, there was a lot of headlines making the news in Impact Wrestling. And we were very excited when we saw this because we like to call this guy a friend. I don't know if he calls us a friend, but let's go ahead and bring him on. There he is, the national treasure, Nick Aldis joins us.
I think we're in the friend zone. I think we've reached that point in our lives, Tim.
Have we?
I think so. I was on a field trip the other day with my son, taking him to the Hermitage, and I was listening to you on the radio.
Well, how about that? You should have said something. I would have given you a shout out on the radio.
Well, that would have been irresponsible of me as the designated driver.
You could have done like text to talk and been like,
maybe,
hey.
I could have done. But,
well, hopefully I didn't bore your son, and hopefully he doesn't think I suck.
Well, so. To be honest, you mostly played music, and so I was all right with it because you were hitting the classic rock quota for the day, so I was good with that.
I try to do more music, less chit-chatting in the morning, so that's the way to go. But we're here to chit-chat with you about some big things that are happening. Of course, you shocked the world by showing up at Impact Rebellion, and you made it very, very well known at the end of the night that you wanted that Impact Wrestling title. So let me ask you this. Let's kind of go back to it. What did your first tenure with Impact teach you, and how different are you as a performer now upon your return to Impact?
Well, I think that the easiest way to sort of sum it up is that, I came back to Impact Wrestling as Nick Aldis,
right?
Not
Magnus.
So, right. So I think there's a collective understanding between Impact and me and the audience that who I was that first go around, was a sort of rough draft. I was a kid. I was young. I had, like I said in my interview on Impact last week, I had a lot of potential, not a great gimmick out of the gate, but, and it was just a lot of sort of faking it till I made it. And I think in a lot of ways it was necessary for me to go away because I was sort of thrown in at the deep end from a young age. Mm-hmm. So I sort of missed out on some of the opportunities that you have, spending a lot of time on the independents to sort of try things and find yourself and have a bit more control of how you present yourself and who you are and, controlling your destiny a little bit. So to sort of to build off of the history I have there, but then combine it with the sort of legacy I've carved out for myself as the traveling world champion and as someone who, I don't think I'm overstating this, but can say had a pretty big hand in sort of reigniting an entire brand. It's like there's a different level of credibility now. And I think that, what's exciting to me is the fact that Impact, we have all that archive footage. We have all that story to build off of, and the story is authentic, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a big part of what I tried to do, as is what's the point in trying to, when we live in an age where everybody knows everything about everyone.
Yeah, no joke.
Why try to make anything up? Mm-hmm. Let's go on what's real. When I was here before, I worked my way up through every spot on the card, all the way to the main events and the world championship, and I still wasn't even close to realizing my full potential. I still didn't really know what I was doing in a lot of ways. So now I'm back, and now I do know what I'm doing. So watch out.
And I mean, like I said, you earlier on, you made it very clear what your intentions were coming back to Impact, and you've made it very clear that Maclin has something that you want, and you're no stranger to holding world titles and whatnot. But you're up there with the GOATs when it comes to NWA champions. I mean, you're up there with everybody. When you left NWA, you had this time period to kind of figure things out. What was the next game plan? What was it in your mind that we're like, okay, we're going back to Impact?
So, a lot of it ties in with what I just said in the sense that they showed me the respect of, basically saying, we want Nick Aldis. you know, as you are, right? Like come in here and we want to build off of the work that you've done, right? And to be able to combine that with, yes, I also have a lot of history here. You know, that's exciting. The roster at Impact is, you know, world class. Like there's so much discussion all the time about who's coming and going at WWE, who's coming and going at AEW, and that's justifiable. But in the meantime, you know, if you look at Impact's roster, man, that's a murderer's row. You know, and now I'm looking at going, finally, like I got some real competition, you know, and I can really, like, I'm looking around going, yeah, I want to mix it up with him. Yeah, want to get in there with him. Yeah, me and him will be money. Like it's just like take your pick. So, you know, but yeah, make no mistake. You know, if I'm coming in, you know, I don't want to waste any time. I want to go after the strap.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a nice looking strap to add to your collection. I mean, you look at all the belts that you've had, and you kind of talk about that for a brief second of like, you look at the roster and who it is. And we've seen a lot of former champs return to Impact, from Eric Young to Christian. And you talk about just now, there's guys that you notice that you want to tangle it up with in the ring. Do you have somebody and we're going to look past Steve Maclin, because you know how this goes on the show. You come on the show, you go on and win gold, right? Well, you're on the show, you're going to go on and win gold. Who else besides Steve Maclin do you want to tangle it up with on that roster?
Well, so there's a few guys who I've sort of flirted with in the past in different promotions and never got a chance to mix it up with. You know, before the pandemic, I was slated to face PCO at Ring of Honor, and then that didn't happen. So that one's always been in the back of my mind. Like that would be an interesting story to tell. You know, I like contrast. I like a contrast of characters, clash of styles, and I don't think you could have much more of a clash of styles and contrast of personalities than myself and PCO. So that's one. Eddie Edwards is another. Ace Austin is a guy who I've watched from afar and go, that kid is crazy talented, hella athletic, and I would really enjoy, you know, telling that story with him.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see the Motor City Machine Guns, you know, sort of back regular and you know, cooking, you know, with gas in the tag division. So either, you know, grabbing a partner and mixing it up with them, or mixing it up with them, you know, individually, because, you know, Alex Shelley is, you know, one of the most talented wrestlers in the entire world, and, you know, probably, you know, one of the most unselfish guys as far as, you know, what he lends to other people.
Yeah.
You know, people don't necessarily understand this because he won't say it, but his fingerprints are all over a lot of wrestlers who are making a lot of money in the industry right now. And, you know, a lot of them either, you know, trained with him or watched his stuff and, you know, borrowed from him. So, you know, to, you know, maybe somewhere down the road, there's something with him. You know, I'm just, like I said, that the roster is stacked. So, you know, I'm coming in and going, you know, it's an embarrassment of riches in that respect. And I can't wait to get stuck in.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting to watch everything once now, you know, you're into the fold with Impact. And the great thing about Impact is you can enjoy that programming. Like, you can ultimately see on everybody's faces as they're cutting promos and they're doing in-ring work, everybody's having fun. And you've been in quite a few locker rooms. What sets this locker room apart from past locker rooms you've been in?
I think that was probably the thing that stood out to me the most when I arrived in Toronto, was like, God, this is a vibrant, energetic atmosphere in this dressing room. You know, there's it's a lot of seasoned professionals who understand that this place can be as big as we make it, and they understand, they can feel that there's a positive momentum. You know, I think there's, I don't want to say a chip on the shoulder, because that wouldn't be accurate, but, you know, there's a healthy sort of understanding of, look, hey, look, we know that a lot of the oxygen goes to WWE and AEW, but we're over here kicking it, and we're going to keep showing you, and we're going to sell out here, and then we're going to sell out there, and we're going to keep, and our numbers are going to go up. Last week's was the highest viewership that the show's had since last March. I'm very big, especially at this point in my career. I have to be part of something that I feel has upward mobility, and forward momentum, and you can feel that momentum with the dressing room, the staff, all the way to the crew, everyone. You can feel that everyone's going, let's dig in and let's get this thing going.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you could see that the times that we've done stuff backstage with Impact, like you could just see like even the veterans in there helping the younger people out. Cause sometimes you get that, that stigma that the veterans aren't there to help out the younger guys. But when we were there doing stuff with Impact, like everybody was back there being a team.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a really good mix of vets and, young, hungry talent. And on the production side, guys like Eric Tompkins, who was there when I was there before, so he's very much, committed to, presenting this brand in a certain way. And you can see in the packages and the entrances and the overall production value, right? It's not just about what resources you have access to. It's about, the talent that you have, working with that technology, and he's done a phenomenal job. And I'm looking at this stuff, and it's been really, really exciting to sort of work with him again and work with Jimmy Jacobs on how we're presenting my promos and, how can we do things to make it different. And like I said, it's not just about what resources you have access to. It's just about having people that really care enough to like go the extra mile and make that effort. And, that is absolutely the case at Impact.
For sure. And I know we don't have too much time, so I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I do want to talk about this just for a brief second. And I want to address the elephant in the room, because I feel as if Maclin and Deonna kind of took a shot at you and Mickey when they posted their photos with their titles. Is that something that, when Mickey recovers and she's back on at 110%, is that something you want to say, actually, let's be honest, we're the real couple, and you go after both of the titles and you both get them?
Well, bless their hearts. I mean, like they, I referenced in my first interview back with Impact Wrestling, I referenced about the pressure of being the world champion and about, hey, it's different when you're the world champion. And I know what that's like. And Maclin lost his mind on Twitter. I mean, right away, just totally making my point for me. You know what I mean, yeah. Tim? Just like, I'm literally sitting there going like, hey, just, hope you're ready for the pressure. And he's like, I was a Marine. Oh, you can't tell me that.
I saw that. You said
you don't know nothing about it.
At 22.
And it's like, hey, man, like, you're just kind of making my point for me, because you could have just waited till the next episode of Impact to just respond. But instead, you had to jump on Twitter. And, you and Deonna had to jump on Twitter. And you know what this is like. It's about the law of attraction, Tim. We're not talking about them. They're talking about us, right? Because they know, them being Deonna Purrazzo, for people who don't know, and Steve Maclin, he's the current Impact World Champion, in case you don't know. They're referencing Mickey and I. Why? Because they know it's gonna help them. They know it's gonna draw more energy and more eyeballs and more attention to them. So hey, you know what? You're welcome. And when the time comes, you will know who the power couple is.
That's exactly for sure. Well, Nick, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's always an honor to have you on the show. It's great to see you again. I know it's been a while since we last talked, and glad to see you in Impact. And the rules. You come on the show, you go on to win the gold. So next time you come back on, I got to see you with that Impact title. I better see that Impact title in the background of your set here too. Well, I actually have one, but my kid has it. My 6-year-old is the current Impact title. So okay, well we can put it in the background when I've got it. How about that? Yes, because if I put it up here now, it'll jinx you. So that's it. I'm not putting it up here now. All right, so, you're off the hook. Thanks, Tim.